Okay, so I want you to picture this just for a second. Let's say it's a Tuesday. It's 9:00 p.m. You are just completely drained.
Done. The tank is empty.
The tank is empty. You've been on the go since, 7 a.m., putting out fires, dealing with staff, handling vendors, all of it. You finally sit down on the couch. Maybe you've poured a glass of wine. Maybe you're just trying to watch some mindless TV and just zone out. And then your phone buzzes on the coffee table.
And before you even look, you know exactly what that buzz means. You can feel it.
You totally do. Your stomach it drops. You look at the screen, and it's a text from a client. And it's not just any client. It's that client. You know exactly who I'm talking about.
Oh, we all have one or had one. The one who pays 30, 60 days late.
Always.
Yeah.
The one who constantly asks for just one more little tweak, which, was definitely not in the scope of work.
Never. Not even close.
The one who, frankly, treats you like you're an on-call employee, not a business owner who was supposed to have a life.
Yeah, and the visceral reaction right there in that moment, your brain is just screaming, no. It's a full-body rejection of that intrusion.
It is. Everything inside you is just screaming, do not answer, don't do it, leave it until tomorrow morning. But then, what do your thumbs do?
Oh, the thumbs. They have a mind of their own.
They really do. Without even consulting your brain, they're already typing, sure, no problem, I'll take a look right now. And boom, just like that, the sinking feeling hits.
There it is.
You know you've just trapped yourself. It's another 20-hour commitment that is not going to move your business forward. It's not going to pay you what you're worth. And it is definitely going to steal your weekend again.
And look, it's a scene that is it's painfully familiar to so many of the people we talk to. And here's a reality check right out of the gate. That moment at 9 p.m. on a Tuesday, that's not an isolated incident.
No, it's a symptom.
It's a huge symptom. If that's happening, it is not an accident. It is part of a much, much larger pattern. It's the same pattern, that had you taking that call last week from a prospect who's completely outside your service area.
Right, because you thought, well, maybe they'll refer someone.
Maybe.
Yeah.
Or giving that discount 2 weeks ago just to avoid, 3 seconds of awkward silence during a price negotiation?
Oh, that silence is the worst. But you tell yourself, it feels like you're just providing good customer service, right?
Right.
In that split second, it feels like you're being the hero.
It feels like hustle.
It does. It feels like hustle.
Yeah.
But emotionally, it just feels like you're underwater. Like you're just, you're drowning and yes.
And that's the disconnect. We tell ourselves it's a customer service problem or, maybe a time management issue. We think if we just bought a better planner or hired an assistant, it would all just go away.
If only it were that simple.
But if we look at the data, and we have a lot of data to unpack today, it is crystal clear this is not a customer service problem. This is a boundaries problem. And it is an expensive one.
That's exactly what we are unpacking today. We're going to do a deep dive into this concept called the reward loop. And the thesis here is so fascinating to me because it reframes something we all think of as just a personality trait, being a people pleaser, and it reveals it for what it is.
Which is a massive profit leak.
A massive profit leak. And I want to be really clear here. We aren't talking about profit leak like you lost $20 in the couch cushions.
No. We are talking about a 6-figure leak, potentially more.
Right. So we're not talking about people pleasing in like the therapy sense, although there's definitely some psychology involved we'll get into. We are talking about it as a profit problem that is disguised as just being nice. So the mission for this deep dive is to really explore why the specific behaviors that helped you get your business to that, say, $250,000 mark are actually the exact ceiling that's preventing you from breaking through to $500,000 or $1 million.
It's such a paradox, isn't it? The very things that built the foundation are the things that are now cracking the ceiling.
It's the ultimate paradox. So look, consider this a profit intervention between friends. There's no judgment here because I have been there. I know you have too.
Absolutely. 100%.
This is just about the math and hopefully a way out. So let's dive into this reward loop. What exactly is going on in our brains when we say yes to that 9 p.m. text? Because logically, we all know we shouldn't.
Well, to really understand the trap, you have to rewind. You have to go back to the beginning of the business.
Startup phase.
The startup phase. That journey from, zero revenue up to about $250,000. In that phase, saying yes to absolutely everything, it actually works. It's a survival mechanism.
Because you have to. You need the cash flow. You need the reputation. I mean, you're kind of desperate.
You're totally desperate. You have zero leverage. You need cash. You need experience. You need word of mouth. So you're You're effectively buying your way into the market with your time and your energy.
That's a good way to put it. You're buying your way in.
So when a client asks for something that's maybe a little unreasonable, and you say yes, you get a very specific result.
Yeah.
You get paid, maybe not enough, but you get paid, and you get a pat on the back.
Oh, yeah. Wow, you're a lifesaver comment. That feels good.
Feels really good. And your brain gets this massive dopamine hit from that validation. We call this the survival reward system. Your brain learns a very simple equation.
Pleasing equals survival.
Exactly. It's positive reinforcement at its most basic level. You do the thing, you sacrifice your time, your weekend, and you get the treat. The treat is survival. You pay your rent.
And that pathway, I imagine, just gets carved deeper and deeper into your brain.
It gets cemented. It becomes part of your operating system. It becomes instinct. But then the business grows. You get $250,000, maybe you're pushing $400,000, approaching $500,000, and this is where the shift happens. This is where so many business owners hit a brick wall and they don't know why.
Is it because the math changes? Or is it just the volume of requests that change?
It's the fundamental economics of the business. They change completely. When you're trying to scale past that $500,000 mark, you are no longer in survival mode. You are in a capacity crisis.
A capacity crisis. Explain that.
You have a finite amount of time and resources. You can't just work harder anymore. But your brain is still operating on that survival reward loop that you built 5 years ago.
So you're essentially reacting to a $500,000 business problem with a startup mindset. You're trying to solve these really complex capacity issues by just being nicer or working longer hours.
Yes. You need to shift your brain to a strategy reward system, but that feels dangerous. It feels risky to the part of your brain that's been rewarded for saying yes for years.
So the paradox is that the very behaviors that made you the hero in the beginning, being the yes person, the one who always figures it out,
are now the specific behaviors that are destroying your profit margins. You are literally working harder to make less money because you are addicted to the wrong reward loop.
You know, this brings up a huge identity crisis, doesn't it? I mean, for a lot of us, especially if we started as a freelancer or a technician, our whole identity is wrapped up in being the person who's good at the craft.
The person who saves the day.
The person who saves the day. So if I stop saving the day, who am I? What's my value then?
It is the classic E-Myth dilemma, right? But with this really specific psychological twist. You are no longer just a technician who happens to own a business. You have to become a strategic business operator who happens to be excellent at the technical work.
And that is a really painful shift.
It's so hard. Because think about it. Go back to when you were an employee. How did you get promoted? How did you get a raise?
By being the reliable one. By saying yes. By staying late to fix the thing that somebody else on the team messed up. You know, the person who clocked out at 5 p.m. on the dot. They didn't get the promotion.
Yep.
The person who stayed until 8 p.m. eating lukewarm pizza and fixed the server, that's the person who got the promotion.
Exactly. Corporate structures, employment in general, it rewards the fixer. You got promotions, you got accolades for figuring it out, for absorbing chaos. But as an owner-operator, the math is flipped. Every single time you jump in to fix a low-value problem or do a favor for a client, you are displacing a profitable project.
Wow. So you're not just spending time, you're actively rejecting higher value work.
You are actively rejecting higher value work in order to service your own low-value anxiety.
That is a heavy, heavy realization. Active rejection of higher value work. It really highlights that this isn't just about being nice. It's about opportunity cost on a massive scale.
And the cost is massive. We are not talking about soft costs or hurt feelings here. We've looked at data from over 100 interviews with service business owners, people running businesses, doing anywhere from $250,000 up to $5 million.
What kind of businesses?
All sorts. Marketing agencies, construction firms, consultants, IT services, a huge range. But the pattern is the same. And when we crunch the numbers on these people-pleasing behaviors, the cost is just staggering.
Okay, so let's get into the math, because I think when people hear profit leak, they think, oh, you know, maybe I lost a couple $100 here and there.
Pocket change.
Yeah, or they rationalize it. Well, I made the client happy, so it'll pay off in the long run.
It's not pocket change. And newsflash, it usually doesn't pay off in the long run. The headline number that comes out of all this research suggests that people-pleasing costs the average service business between, get this, $135,000 and $205,000 annually.
Okay, stop. Let's just sit with that for a second. $200,000 a year.
It's a real number.
That's not lost change. That is life-altering money. That is retirement funding. That's hiring 2 more high-level staff members so you can actually take a vacation. That's a down payment on a house. Where is that money actually going? How do you lose 200 grand and not even realize it?
It's because it's hiding in plain sight. It usually leaks out in three main buckets. The first, and maybe the most obvious one, is underpricing and discounts.
Okay.
The data shows this alone accounts for somewhere between $35,000 and $70,000 a year for the average business in this range.
So is this just like having your rates too low across the board?
It's actually more specific and insidious than that. It's the behavior of giving a discount before the client even asks for one.
Oh, I've done this. I know exactly what we're talking about.
We all have. It's the moment in the sales meeting where you feel a tiny bit of tension, or maybe it's just your own insecurity bubbling up. You quote your price, say $10,000. There's the 3-second pause.
It's a pause of death.
The pause of death.
Yeah.
And in that pause, your brain panics. Your survival instinct kicks in, and you just blurt out, but, since you're a new client, I could probably do it for $8,500.
Ugh. You're negotiating against yourself. You just did their job for them. You're literally filling the silence with your own money.
You're paying to avoid 3 seconds of discomfort. And let's look at the math on that for a second. Let's say your profit margin on that $10,000 project was going to be 30%. That's $3,000 in profit.
Okay.
If you drop the price by 15% to $8,500, that $1,500 doesn't come off the top. It comes directly out of your net profit.
So you didn't lose 15% of the value.
You just gave away half your profit in one sentence.
Yeah.
Your profit just went from $3,000 to $1,500.
Yeah.
You lost 50% of your take-home pay on that project.
And on top of that, you're eroding your pricing power completely. You've just broadcasted to this new client that your price isn't real, it's a suggestion.
It's a starting point for negotiation. You devalue the brand immediately. Okay, so that's bucket one. The second bucket is even bigger. This is unbilled scope creep.
The silent killer.
The silent killer. This is estimated at $75,000 to $110,000.
Oh, that's a full-time salary for a senior employee, just gone.
Gone. Evaporated. This is the while you're here syndrome, or the I'll just figure it out mentality. Let's use digital agency as an example. You quote a project for, say, 10 hours of development work on a website feature.
Standard stuff.
The client comes back with a small request. Hey, can we just add this little pop-up? Or can we just change the layout of this page a little bit? Instead of issuing a change order, you just say,
Sure, no problem.
Sure, no problem. Now that 10-hour job is 15 hours.
But wait a minute. I can hear the listener right now saying, come on, it's just 5 hours. I want them to be happy. If I nickel and dime them for every little thing, they're going to think I'm a jerk, and they'll leave.
And that is the trap. That is the people pleaser's brain talking. Let's do the unit economics. Let's say you bill at $150 an hour. That extra 5 hours is $750 of top-line revenue that you didn't capture. Yeah. But it's actually worse than that. You still had to pay your developer to do that work. Let's say you pay your developer $50 an hour. That's $250 in hard costs, actual cash out the door, that you paid for the privilege of doing work for free.
Oh my God. You are actively paying to work for your client.
You're paying to work. Your cost of goods sold. Your COGS goes up while your revenue stays flat. You are murdering your gross margin. I call it the COGS of anxiety.
The COGS of anxiety, that hits hard. You're spending real money to soothe your anxiety about a client maybe possibly being upset.
That's it. Now, if you do that just 3 times a week across all your projects, that's thousands and thousands of dollars a month in pure profit that just vanishes into thin air.
Okay, wow. So what's the third bucket?
The third bucket is wrong fit clients. This one's a little harder to quantify exactly, but the conservative estimate is $25,000 plus a ton of indirect costs. This is the cost of keeping a client who drains your resources simply because you're afraid of a bad review.
Or you're afraid they'll go out and tell people you're difficult to work with.
Exactly. But let's get real about the cost here. These toxic clients, they often increase your staff turnover. Your best employees hate working with them. They're draining.
Yeah, nobody wants to be on the Client X project.
Nobody. So if you lose a key employee because they're burnt out from dealing with a toxic client that you refuse to fire, what does that cost you? The recruitment, the training for a new person? That's easily $20,000, $30,000 right there, plus all the lost productivity.
So we have the direct financial cost, which is just staggering. But we also have to talk about the time toll, because if you're doing all this extra unbilled work, you're not finishing your day at 5 p.m.
Oh, not even close. The data on this is really clear. It shows a time leak of about 12 extra hours worked per week on average for business owners with people-pleasing tendencies compared to those who set firm boundaries.
12 hours a week. That's an extra day and a half of work every single week.
It's 6 full work days a month.
That's insane.
And it's an extra day and a half where you are effectively working for free. This drags your effective hourly rate down by 15–20%. You might think you charge $150 an hour, but when you factor in all those people-pleasing hours, the late-night texts, the free revisions, the extra meetings, you're actually making closer to $110.
You're earning less than your employees might be on an hourly basis.
In some cases, absolutely. And deeper than that, it just destroys your client lifetime value, or LTV.
How so? I mean, intuitively, I would think keeping clients happy, even if it's killing you, would increase retention. Isn't that the whole point?
That is the common and very dangerous misconception. You are not retaining clients. You are collecting liabilities.
Oof. Collecting liabilities. Say more about that.
True. Healthy retention is based on mutual value and respect. The client values your expertise and you value their business and their respect for your process. If retention is built on your personal heroics, on you answering the phone at night, on you giving freebies to keep them from getting mad, that is not a sustainable business relationship.
It's a hostage situation.
It is a hostage situation. That feels dramatic, but it's accurate. Because the moment you try to stop the heroics, what happens?
The client gets angry. They feel entitled to it.
They get angry because you have trained them to undervalue you. This actually makes them less loyal in the long run because they don't respect your expertise. They only respect your availability and your cheapness. They stay because you're a doormat, not because you're the best. And the moment someone else is a cheaper, more available doormat, they are gone.
That is such a fascinating and important distinction, collecting liabilities versus retaining clients. Okay, I want to make this really, really practical for our listener. We have these broad categories, but the research you've looked at identifies 5 archetypes of business people pleasers.
Right. This is the hold up a mirror section of our deep dive.
Exactly. I want you, the listener, to just listen and see which one of these or which combination really resonates. Let's start with type 1, the just this once person.
The slippery slope archetype. The behavior here is all about allowing one-off requests to become recurring, unspoken expectations.
The camel's nose under the tent.
Precisely. A classic industry example is in the trades, like HVAC or plumbing. You go out for a free diagnostic visit. The client says, just pop the hood, tell me what you think is wrong.
I don't know if I want to hire you yet. Just take a quick look.
Right. But then 90 minutes later, you're sweating, you've taken half the furnace apart, you've troubleshooted the entire system, and you still haven't even discussed a quote yet. You've done the high-skill work before getting the commitment.
And you walk away with a handshake and maybe a vague promise of future work, but you just burned 2 hours of your most valuable billable capacity.
And I've been there. You think, if I just show them how good I am, of course they'll hire me. But what usually happens...
They take your free advice, your free diagnosis, and they hire the cheaper guy off Craigslist to do the actual fix.
Or, if they do hire you, they expect that level of free service forever.
Yeah.
The precedent has been set.
Okay, that one's painful. Type 2, the discount dealer. We touched on this, but let's go deeper. This is the person who is just terrified of the price objection.
This is the person whose natural fight or flight response, it's just drop the price. The phrase, but I can work with you on the price, comes out of their mouth before the client has even had a chance to object.
They haven't even blinked yet, and you're already cutting your own legs out from under you.
Yeah. Psychologically, this is a deep fear of rejection. You are assuming the client thinks you're not worth it, so you lower the bar immediately to preempt that rejection. You're rejecting yourself before they even have a chance to.
It's like showing your hand in poker before the flop is even dealt. Here, look, I have nothing. Please don't hurt me. It's a position of weakness. Okay, type 3. The scope creep acceptor.
This one is huge in any project-based business. Construction, remodeling, creative agencies, software development. This is the while you're here, can you also archetype.
Yes. While you're here, the 4 most expensive words in business.
They really are. In construction, a $10,000 renovation project starts. The homeowner comes in and says, oh, since you have the tools out, could you just fix this little piece of trim in the hallway?
And you say yes, of course, because it seems so small. It's just a piece of trim. It'll take 10 minutes.
But you don't issue a change order. Then the next day, it's, can you just touch up this paint? Then it's, can you move this outlet?
Yeah.
Suddenly, a $10,000 project involves $12,000, maybe $15,000 worth of labor and materials, but you're still billing for 10.
And here's the kicker. Because you did that first little thing for free, they now feel entitled to ask for more free things, since you already have the paintbrushes out.
You've turned yourself into a philanthropist, not a business owner. Okay, type 4, the all hours available.
I think this one hits home for a lot of people in the digital age.
It's the technology trap. It's responding to client texts while you're at dinner with your family. It's working weekends because, they might need me. The impact here is deeply personal.
Hmm.
Your family knows, without you saying a word, that they come second to a client's whim.
Your phone is never truly off. You're never fully present.
You're creating a Pavlovian response. The client knows that if they text, you will answer, ding, salivate. So they just keep texting because why wouldn't they? There's no negative consequence for them.
I think this one is the hardest to break because we're already addicted to the device. We see that little red notification bubble, and we just have to clear it. It's a compulsion.
It creates this false sense of urgency for things that are almost never urgent.
Yeah.
But let me ask you, if you answer a client at 10 p.m. on a Saturday, what are you teaching them about your value?
That I have no life, and that I have no other clients that are demanding my time.
Exactly. You're signaling that you're not in demand.
Mm.
Okay, and finally, type 5, the bad client keeper.
This one feels like the most painful.
It is. This is the purely fear-based archetype. This is keeping the client who pays 60 days late, who demands immediate responses to everything, who is generally rude or dismissive to you or your staff.
And you keep them because you think, what if they tell people I'm difficult? What if they leave a bad review?
You are prioritizing the opinion of a verifiably bad client over the health of your own cash flow and the morale of your team.
But isn't that a valid fear? I mean, in the age of Yelp and Google reviews, one really nasty, detailed bad review, it can really hurt.
It can sting, yes. It can hurt. But bankruptcy hurts more. A toxic culture that drives away your best talent hurts more. And here is the reality we've seen over and over. Bad clients usually don't leave reviews if you fire them professionally and cleanly. They're too busy moving on to find their next victim.
They're energy vampires. They need a new host.
They do. And even if they do leave a bad review, reasonable people who are reading reviews can usually spot a crazy person. Keeping them is a guarantee of misery. Firing them is only a risk of misery. I'll take the risk every time.
Guaranteed misery versus the risk of misery. That is a fantastic way to frame it.
Okay.
So let's do a quick self-assessment here. We've got a little scorecard. Listener, I just want you to mentally check the box if this sounds like you. Ready?
Let's do it.
Number 1. Do you give discounts that weren't asked for, just to avoid an awkward silence?
Do you work 5 or more unpaid hours a week fixing things or doing favors?
Do you check and respond to client messages during family dinner or date night? And number 4, do you have a client right now who consistently pays late, but you're still doing new work for them?
Okay, so if you check 2 or 3 of those boxes, you're in what we call the warning zone. The profit leaks are starting, the boat is taking on water. If you checked 4 or 5, you are looking at that immediate 6-figure leak we talked about. This is urgent. You are bleeding out, and you need a tourniquet.
Okay, that is a stark diagnosis. We've identified the problem. We know it costs a fortune in money and time. We know it ruins our weekends and stresses our families. So how do we fix it? Because honestly, just telling someone to have better boundaries is like telling them to just be taller. It's not helpful advice. We need a system.
Right, and this is where we get into the solution, the profitable boundaries framework.
Okay.
And the very first thing to get your head around here is the reframe.
Yeah.
This is not about becoming mean. It's not about becoming the no police. It's about strategic capacity management.
Okay, I got to be honest. Strategic capacity management sounds a little bit like corporate buzzword bingo. If I tell my biggest client that I'm strategically managing my capacity, aren't they just going to hang up and call my competitor who answers the phone on the first ring?
They might. And if that competitor wants to work for free at midnight, you should let them have that client with your blessing. But here is the counterintuitive truth. Good clients want boundaries.
Really?
Yes, they respect clarity. If you are crystal clear about scope, pricing, and communication hours, they feel safe. They know what they are buying. Think about it. Do you want a surgeon who answers texts from other patients during your surgery?
Absolutely not.
Or a pilot who is negotiating prices for the next flight while you're landing in a storm? No. You want a focused professional. The logic you have to burn into your brain is this. Every yes to a bad fit client or a bad fit request is a hard no to your own growth. You are filling the container of your business with sand, so there's no room left for the big important rocks.
Okay, that makes sense. So let's break down the framework. Part 1 is the qualification filter.
This is all about the shift you make before you even take on a client. You shift from asking, can I do this work?
Yeah.
To, should I do this work? Just because you have the technical skill to do a job doesn't mean it's a good business fit.
So it's not about capability, it's about alignment.
Exactly. The framework suggests 3 core questions you have to ask yourself before you ever send a proposal. Question 1, does this work align with my core expertise and my company's strategic direction? Or am I just doing it because I need the cash this month?
Honest question.
Question 2, can I deliver massive value at a price that is highly profitable for me? Meaning, if I charge my real rate, the one I'm not scared to say, is it still a great deal for them?
Okay.
And question 3 is the killer. Will this client respect my process?
That's the one. How do you know that early on? You've just met them. They're on their best behavior.
You test them. You set a tiny, insignificant boundary early in the sales process and see what they do. You say, great, I'm available for a discovery call at 2 p.m. on Thursday. If they come back with, no, that doesn't work, I need to talk NW, that's a red flag. Or you say, to make our call as productive as possible, please fill out this short intake form before our meeting. If they show up to the meeting without filling it out and say, oh, I didn't have time, let's just talk through it, they have failed the test.
Because if they push back on the small, simple stuff.
They will absolutely trample all over the big, important stuff later. It's a guarantee.
And if the answer is no to one of those questions, they failed the test. How do you say no without burning the bridge or sounding like a jerk?
You need a script. You need a polite, professional, rehearsed way to decline gracefully. Something like, based on what you're looking for, I honestly don't think I'm the best fit for this specific project. My expertise is really in X, and it sounds like you need Y. But I can refer you to someone who specializes in that.
So you're still being helpful, you maintain the relationship, but you protect your capacity.
You look like a confident professional, not a desperate amateur.
Okay, that's part 1. Part 2 of the framework is my favorite because it's so beautifully simple, but it is so hard to do in the moment, the 24-hour rule.
This is the circuit breaker for your people-pleasing brain. The rule is simple. You never, ever say yes on the spot to a scope change, a rush request, or a discount.
Never. Even if it's a really small thing and you know you can do it?
Never. Because small things are the gateway drug to big margin-killing things. You have to build the muscle.
Okay, let's role play this. I need to hear how this actually sounds because in my head it sounds terrifying. I'll be the pushy, demanding client. You be the calm, boundary-setting business owner.
Right, hit me.
Clears throat. Hey, look.
All right.
I know the contract says delivery is on Friday, but my boss is just breathing down my neck. I really, really need this by tomorrow morning. Can you just pull an all-nighter and get it done for me? I would so appreciate it.
Takes a calm breath. I hear you, and I completely understand the pressure you're under. I need to review our team's production schedule to see if we can accommodate a rush request of this size without impacting our other client commitments. Let me check our capacity, and I will get back to you by 10 a.m. tomorrow with a clear answer and any rush fees that might apply.
Ooh, that rush fees that might apply oh, that really stings. But also, as the client, I actually feel heard. You didn't just say no. You said, let me check. You validated my stress.
Exactly. I validated your stress. I understand the pressure, but I deferred the answer. And that deferral is the entire secret.
Why is that 24-hour deferral so critical? Why not just say, let me check, and then answer them in 5 minutes?
Because of a thing called the amygdala hijack. When you are on the phone or face-to-face with a client who is putting pressure on you, your brain goes into social survival mode. Your amygdala takes over. You feel the social pressure to please. You feel the awkwardness. You just want to make it stop.
The fight or flight response. And flight is just saying yes to get out of the conversation?
Right. By buying yourself 24 hours, or even just 2 hours, you allow your prefrontal cortex, the logical, rational part of your brain, to come back online. You can step away from the emotional pressure. You can look at your calendar and say, wait, if I do this, I miss my daughter's school play. You can do the math on the actual cost. You move from an emotional reaction to a strategic decision.
It also, I think, positions you as someone who is in demand, doesn't it? If you can just say yes instantly, it kind of implies you have nothing else going on.
100%. Scarcity creates value. If you have to check your capacity, it implies your capacity is a valuable, limited resource. It implies you have other important clients who also deserve your attention.
Okay, that's powerful. Part 3 of the framework is the clear offer.
This is about being radically explicit. Be crystal clear in your proposals about what is included and, maybe more importantly, what is not included. The source we're looking at is a big fan of using bundled pricing to do this.
So like a good, better, best model. How does that specifically help with boundaries?
It depersonalizes the no. If you sell a gold marketing package that clearly includes items A, B, and C, and the client later asks for item D, It's very easy and non-confrontational to say, that's a great idea. Item D is actually included in our platinum package, or we can add it onto your current package for an additional X dollars. Which would you prefer?
I see. It's not you saying no to a favor. It's just the menu structure.
Exactly. It's like being at a restaurant.
Yeah.
If you order a burger and then ask for extra bacon, the waiter doesn't have an emotional crisis about whether to charge you for the bacon.
No, they just say, sure, that's $2 extra.
Right. The clarity is already built into the system. Clarity prevents scope creep because the boundary is written down in black and white from the start.
Yeah.
And here's the key. If a potential client resists that clarity, if they say, oh, let's not get bogged down in details, let's just play it by ear.
That's a huge red flag.
It is the biggest red flag you will ever see.
Mm.
Resistance to clarity means they want ambiguity.
Mm.
And ambiguity always, always favors the person who is willing to push harder. And that person is them, not you.
Wow. Okay, I want to zoom out a bit. Let's look at the really long-term view here. We've talked about the annual income hit, which is massive. But there is an even bigger number at stake, especially for people who want to sell their business someday. Let's go deep on this concept of the unsellable business.
Yeah, this is where the math gets really, really painful for people who are thinking about their exit strategy. We have to look at valuation multiples.
Okay, break that down.
A business is typically valued as a multiple of its profit, its EBITDA, which is just a fancy term for profit before a bunch of accounting stuff.
Right. So if I make $100,000 in profit and the multiple for my industry is, say, 3x, my business is worth about $300,000.
Roughly, yes. But here's the thing most people miss. That multiple isn't fixed. It depends entirely on the quality and risk of the business. A founder-dependent business, which is exactly what you have if you're a people pleaser, because everything relies on you personally saying yes, you personally fixing problems, you holding every client's hand. That kind of business sells for a very, very low multiple, maybe 1.5x to 2x profit.
Or it just doesn't sell at all.
Or it's unsellable, exactly. Because if you, the founder, leave, the entire business collapses. The asset vanishes.
The business is you.
It is. And buyers aren't stupid. During the due diligence process, they read your emails. They look at your time logs. If they see you're the one emailing clients at 11 p.m. on a Saturday, they know the business is broken. They know that if they buy it, they're going to have to hire 2 or 3 people just to replace you, which completely wipes out all the profit.
So for a decade, you haven't been building a business. You've been building a high-stress, low-wage job that you can't quit and you can't sell.
That is the tragic reality for so many. Now, let's compare that to a systematized business. This is one where there are firm boundaries, strict processes, clear scope documentation, and the owner is not the bottleneck. That business sells for 3x, 4x, maybe even 5x its profit.
So let's run the numbers on that. Let's take 2 identical businesses. Both do 1 million in revenue. Business A is run by the people pleaser. It's high churn, high chaos, low margins. Let's be generous and say they squeeze out $100,000 in profit. Okay. Business B is run by the boundary setter. It's efficient, calm, clear scope, much higher margins. They make $200,000 in profit on that same million in revenue.
Okay, so let's do the valuation. Business A, $100K profit times a low 2x multiple because it's a mess. That's a $200,000 sale price.
Right.
After taxes and fees, you walk away with almost nothing for 10 years of your life.
Wow.
Business B, $200K profit times a healthy 4x multiple because it's a well-oiled machine. That's an $800,000 sale price.
Same revenue. A $200,000 exit versus an $800,000 exit. That is a $600,000 difference based on nothing but boundaries and process.
It's the difference between buying a nice car and funding your entire retirement. Investors do not want to buy a job. They want to buy a system. If your business breaks when you go on vacation for a week, it is not a valuable asset.
Period. That is the ultimate cost right there. You're not just losing income today, you're destroying your future equity. So what does the transformation actually look like? Because this all sounds great in theory, but it also sounds really scary to implement. Do we have stories of people who actually did this?
We do. The source material shares a great transformation story about a creative agency owner. We'll call him Mark. Mark was the classic case. Working 60, 70 hours a week, revenues were stuck around the $400 mark for years, and he was just miserable, burnt out.
Sounds familiar.
He decided to implement this framework. He got serious about the qualification filter, he religiously followed the 24-hour rule, and he rebuilt all his proposals around the clear offer.
So what happened? Did all his clients freak out and leave? That's the big fear.
He lost about 15% of his clients.
Okay, that's not nothing.
But it was the bottom 15%, the noisy ones, the lead payers, the scope creepers, the ones who were dragging the whole company down. And here's the magic. His revenue stayed flat that first quarter because he had the guts to raise his prices on the remaining 85% of good clients. And suddenly, he had all this free time and energy to go out and find more good clients.
So he replaced low-quality revenue with high-quality revenue.
Exactly. And within just 90 days, he reclaimed 10 to 15 hours a week. He stopped working weekends completely for the first time in 5 years.
That is life-changing right there. 15 hours is 2 full workdays back.
And his profit margins improved by 8 percentage points. He went from a shaky 12% net margin to a really healthy 20% margin. That's pure cash in the bank.
Hmm?
But the biggest shift, he said, was the vibe. It was the feeling. He said, I didn't become difficult. I just stopped working with difficult-to-serve people.
That's the whole game right there. It's the pathway to profit. The source mentions that this is one of 7 profit levers, but it feels like it's the keystone, you know? If you don't have boundaries in place, the other levers, like better marketing or more sales, they don't even matter.
They don't, because the money just leaks right out the bottom of the bucket. You can pour more water in the top with more sales, but if the bucket is full of holes from scope creep and discounts, you just get wet feet. You don't get a fuller bucket.
And the cost of inaction, of just saying, I'll deal with this next month,
Is about $8,000 to $12,000 in lost profit every single month. You wait.
that's a mortgage payment. That's a family vacation. Gone. Just burn to appease your anxiety.
Every month, it just keeps burning.
Okay, so let's bring this all home. I want to hold up that final mirror to the listener one last time. You have spent years, maybe decades, building a reputation. You are the go-to person. You're the one everyone can count on. And that feels good. It feeds the ego. It's validating.
Mm-hmm.
But if being counted on means you are consistently missing your kid's soccer game, if it means you're staring at the ceiling fan at 2 a.m. worried about making payroll, if it means you are earning less per hour than the people you employ, something is fundamentally broken.
And I just want to reinforce this one more time. This is not a personality flaw. You do not need years of therapy to fix this. It is a strategic mistake with a dollar cost attached to it. It is an operational glitch in your business.
A bug in the software.
It's a bug in the software. And you can fix it with logic and process, not just sheer willpower. You don't have to become a different person. You just have to install a different operating system for your business.
So here's the actionable step, the takeaway. We call this the tomorrow morning challenge.
And it's simple. Before you check your email tomorrow, before you let the world's agenda flood your brain, before you get that first little dopamine hit of fixing something for someone, take 10 minutes. Just 10 minutes.
What do you do?
You take a piece of paper and you write down the last 3 times you said yes when your gut screamed no.
And be specific. Don't just write, I took a call I shouldn't have.
No, be painfully specific. Write down. I agreed to rush that report for client X, which meant I had to stay up until midnight. I gave a $500 discount to client Y because I was scared of the silence. I spent 3 hours on a Saturday fixing a printer for a client as a favor.
Okay, you've got your list. Then what?
Then next to each one, you calculate the real dollar cost. Use your target billable rate. If you want to charge $150 an hour and you spent 3 hours on that printer, that is $450 that you just lit on fire. Add it up. Look at that number. Let that number be your motivation.
It's a sobering exercise, but it is so necessary. You have to see the blood to be motivated to stop the bleeding.
You do, because until you quantify the cost, you'll keep treating this as a nice-to-have fix instead of a must-have operational imperative.
I want to leave you all with this one final thought. We are so often conditioned to think that saying yes makes us valuable, that it makes us helpful, indispensable. But when you say yes to everything, your yes actually means nothing. It has no value because it's automatic, it's expected.
That is the shift, from being a commodity to being a luxury.
When you have boundaries, when you are selective, when your yes is earned and respected, working with you becomes a privilege, not a right. So the question is, are you ready to stop being the tired technician and finally step up and become the strategic operator you are truly capable of being? Thanks for diving in with us today.
See you next time.